Delta identifies captain, first officer, Toronto crash investigation continues. Pilot identities released, Delta clarifies Toronto plane crash details. Toronto crash, Delta names captain and first officer involved. Delta reveals pilots' names in Toronto plane crash probe. Crash investigation update, Delta releases pilot information, Toronto. Toronto accident, Delta confirms captain, first officer identities. Delta discloses pilot information, Toronto crash under scrutiny. Following Toronto crash, Delta names pilots in update. Toronto plane crash, Delta releases captain, first officer names. Delta's statement, Toronto crash pilot identities now revealed. Captain, first officer identified, Delta addresses Toronto crash. Toronto crash, Delta's announcement clarifies pilot details. Delta provides names of Toronto crash flight crew. Important update, Delta releases Toronto crash pilot data. Toronto crash investigation, Delta reveals pilot identities. Delta confirms pilots' identities following Toronto plane incident. New information, Delta releases names of Toronto crash pilots. Following the crash, Delta reveals pilots' identities in Toronto. Delta shares pilot details, Toronto crash investigation progresses. Toronto crash update, Delta identifies captain, first officer. In Toronto crash update, Delta names both pilots. Delta releases names, Toronto plane crash investigation continues. Pilot information released, Delta comments on Toronto crash. Toronto crash, Delta's statement includes pilot identification.